Okay, everyone, I think we're going to start, since we do have 5 candidates this year. Welcome to the Board of Education Candidates Forum, hosted by the Verona Conference of SCAs. My name is Barbara Yates, along with Patty Farley. We are the co-presidents of the conference. So everyone knows this forum is a nonpartisan event, and it will be moderated by the League of Women Voters. There are index cards for anyone who just came in, and pens if you have any questions you'd like the moderator to ask the candidates. I would like to introduce Louise Davis. She's our moderator for this evening from the League of Women Voters. And good luck to the candidates.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming. The League of Women Voters, I'm Louise Davis. I'm from the League of Women Voters of Mountain Lakes. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that does not support candidates or political parties, but rather encourages citizen participation in government. The purpose of a candidates forum is to give you, the voter, the opportunity to get to know the candidates. There will be 4 parts to this evening's forum. The first will be a 2-minute opening statement from each of the candidates. That will be followed by questions that you, the voter, fill out on the cards and feed through here to me. Then we will have questions that were prepared by the committee, and finally we'll have a 2-minute closing statement from each of the candidates. The forum will be conducted according to the league policy, with which all questions and answers must pertain to issues of office and not personal items. I will be screening the questions before I ask them to ensure that they have to do with issues of office. The candidates will respond on an issue of office. If they respond with a personal issue, they will be stopped, and we'll move on to the next person. I'd now like to begin. We're going to be starting with Judy over on my far right, who's going to start with a 2-minute opening statement.
Good evening, and first of all, I thank you all for coming out to this event. I did not know that many people would show, but I'm glad that you did. Maybe some of you have heard about me. I've lived in the town of Verona my entire life. I used to be employed by the Verona Board of Education. As a result of that, I have extensive knowledge of the inner workings of this school district. I, by career, am a paralegal educator. I have 3 teaching degrees, and I am a school business administrator. Having worked here for all those years, I really have gotten experience as far as the board goes. I have attended probably 7 years of board meetings. I'm very, very familiar with the what happens at the meetings. I have understanding of the budgetary constraints, the legal documents that are necessary to understand. As far as education goes, I have to admit to you that I am on the finance end of things. That's what I do. I'm in the money end of it. I understand everybody is interested in the core curriculum, et cetera, et cetera. I understand it, but I have not been able to practice it at all because I have not taught in many, many years. I'm really running for this Board of Education because I think as a member of the community, and as a member of the community that does not have any children in the school district, that I could be a representative for quite a few individuals who don't have children anymore in the school district. I lost my train of thought. I want to be able to represent every parent, student, teacher, child, anyone in this district, and I want everyone to feel free to come to me and give them the attention that they need. I'm not so sure that people in our district currently feel comfortable with going to a board member and discussing things, but as of just running around town trying to introduce myself to people, I have gotten many, many, many comments and statements made about what goes on in our school districts, et cetera, et cetera. I would like to bring an informed and respectful approach to the board. I would like to be conscientious and bring a different perspective to the board.
Thank you.
As a single homeowner in the town. That's it. I'm done. 2 minutes?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Michael?
Good evening. I'd first like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum tonight and all of you for attending. I've been a Verona resident for 8 years with my wife. I've been married for 14 years. We have 3 children, 2 of which are currently in the school system. I have a son in 5th grade, a daughter in 4th grade, and my youngest will be starting kindergarten next September. She will graduate high school in 2028. So as you can see, I will have a vested interest in our schools for many years to come. When I was a child, my family moved around quite a bit, And each time we moved, I was faced with the challenge of adjusting to a new school, new teachers, and new friends, and it was never easy. During my school career, I lived in 4 different towns. I attended 2 grammar schools, 2 different middle schools, and a high school. When my wife and I decided to have children, I was adamant that where we lived when our oldest child started 1st grade was where we would live when our youngest child graduated high school. Therefore, our number 1 priority when deciding where to raise our family was the school system, and Verona was at the top of that list.
It did not happen overnight. I bought a home in Verona in 1998, and for 16 years I have been consistent. I joined the SCA when my eldest son started kindergarten, and it was a great way for me to meet other parents, and I met a lot of shakers and movers. It's a great town, everybody's involved. From that, I always held leadership positions within the SCA. I served on the executive board at the elementary, middle school, and high school level. And actually, I've attended over, shamefully, 150 SCA meetings. You would think that I had other things to do, but I always made the time for the school. The past 5 years, I've been the Board of Education liaison to the SCAs, so I have attended faithfully over 75 Board of Ed meetings. And like Judy, I understand what goes on at the meetings. The parent public comment is always very important to hear what's going on from the people and what you think is important. I've also volunteered on dozens of committees that helped form leadership, educational, and financial long-term goals for the district, including the strategic planning 5-year plan. I was on both committees, and I served on action committees for that. And most importantly, I also know what goes on inside the classrooms. I've worked for 7 years. I've spent over 4,500 hours in your classrooms with the students, with the teachers, interacting with all the departments. I know it inside and out. Education, like Mike said, is critically important to me, and my passion is genuine.
Thank you very much. Joanna?
Oh, is this on? Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Joanna Breitenbach. Thank you to the Conference of SCAs for hosting, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for being here tonight, and to all of you. It's such a rainy night, so thank you for coming. A little bit about myself. Again, my name is Joanna Breitenbach. In case you've seen my signs around town and didn't really know how to pronounce my name, that's how it is. I have lived in Verona for 10 years. I am married with 2 children currently in HB Middle School. One is 11, one is 10. And I am truly passionate about our community and our schools. When my children started kindergarten, ever since when they did start kindergarten at Landing Avenue School, it was very important for me to get involved. Again, just like Lisa and just like many here, it was a good way to meet families. It was a good way to interact. It was a good way to know what was happening in our schools. I have a vested interest as a parent, as a taxpayer. I have been heavily involved with the schools and our community. I've held several positions in our communities. Of leadership types. I was president of the Verona Women's Club here in town for 2 years. I was also the co-president of the SCA at Landing Avenue School. And my dedication there actually is what drove me to run for the board. I saw what kind of impact a group of parents, I saw what parents can do in a small community like ours. And at Landing Avenue School, we were, myself and a couple of other parents, our SCA board and our community there at Landing, were able to affect change. It may not seem like a big change because nobody else saw it, but you know, if you walk through the halls of Landing Avenue School, we affected the climate of the school, the environment. So I'm highly committed to serving our children, serving our community, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the first question. Michael will have first chance at this question. They'll have 1 minute to answer each of the questions. If elected, what Board of Education committees would you want to serve on and why?
finance committee, I think, because obviously the budget is very important in this town. People are concerned with their tax dollars, and I think that would be one that is a good fit for me. Yeah, I think that's probably the committee.
Okay. Dominic?
I think buildings and grounds and the athletics, I think are two things that are right up my alley. As far as project manager for the infrastructure projects for my job in the Township of Nutley, I also manage a budget of, like I said, over $4 billion there. So I think the buildings and grounds and the capital infrastructure projects we can complete there in a cost-effective way would positively affect the budget, as Michael had said. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa?
The committee that I think I would like to serve on and be able to contribute productively to would be the curriculum committee. I have a background in education. I am certified to teach in New Jersey. I've been in the schools and I've seen up close where gaps are in the curriculum, and I have very clear ideas on how to close some of those gaps. And also part of the strategic plan, I think it was strategy number 3, is about going global and getting our students up to the 21st century and out of our 07044 zip code. So it would be great to work with the teachers and work on building curriculum that would offer opportunities that got our students really playing on a global field. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanna?
Mine would also have to be the education committee, and primarily for the same reasons. I believe that our children need to be prepared for the future, to operate in a global economy and to be able to function and to offer ideas to move our, not just Verona forward, but our world. I mean, the environment in which they live in is it's moving fast. Our world is moving fast, it's growing fast, and we need to make sure that our children are competitive in that nature.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judy?
Well, I would have to say that I would like to be on the finance committee, seeing that that's what I deal in mostly is money. I have sat in on many finance committee meetings during my time working in this district, and I find that we need a lot of interest in the finance and investigation on what goes on with the money before we even move forward with any school budget. So I think my prime example of what I would like to be in would be the finance. Second to that would it be the building and grounds, because I think we really need to move forward and do something better with buildings and grounds.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next question. Dominic, we'll have this question first. What do you feel is the #1 challenge facing our schools today?
Well, specific to the Verona district is the management of the referendum. If we mismanage this and there's no oversight and we do have delays and cost overruns, it's going to have a trickle-down effect adversely on how we educate our children and what funds are available to get that done.
Okay, thank you. Lisa?
Can you just repeat the question, please?
Of course. What do you feel is the #1 challenge facing our schools today?
I think finance is always a top challenge because there are so many different ways to spend money, and buildings and grounds, referendums, buying textbooks, bringing our technology up to snuff. And having this latest referendum pass, and we're moving forward with a lot of those things, I think managing those finances on a long term, building a reservoir of money to maintain those things for long haul is a challenge, especially with New Jersey, and we have caps on budgets, and it's just a strain on taxpayers, and I would love to really, that's a challenge that I would love to tackle.
Thank you. Joanna?
I would have to agree. It would be funding. Trenton has dictated so many new mandates and state initiatives, and that's what's really draining our school budgets these days. So I think right now where we're at, we can't be we have to be very responsible and very mindful of every dollar that we have and every dollar that we spend, and come up with ways of not being able to be we have to be self-sustaining. We have to find new ways of bringing in alternative funding, and whether it's cutting certain, cost, or implementing, bringing in new programs, grants, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But funding is the biggest challenge, I think, for our district, at a district our size.
Thank you. Judy?
Can you repeat that question again?
Of course.
I've lost track a little bit.
Okay. What do you feel is the number one challenge facing our schools today?
Oh, being able to fund our school district budget from here on into the future, due to the fact that we have to work within the budget constraints of the 2% cap, and every year it's getting cut back more and more and more regarding the state aid. We don't have enough sufficient funding to even pay for the salary and benefits of the teachers as we're rolling forward. And that, to me, is going to be a major issue. On top of, if we didn't do this referendum right, what more money are we going to owe to have to fix the mistakes that went down? So I think the finance and being able to figure out how we're going to fund it moving forward for the rest of the years, that's probably it.
Thank you. Michael?
I think a concern is the park testing. The tests are given from grades 3 through 12, and the tests are taken on computers, and you need to type in certain portions of the test. And I don't feel that our children are being taught how to type at an early enough age. They have to start at 3rd grade. I think they should be learning how to type maybe the basics in 2nd grade, about the home row or where to put your fingers. This way, it's easier when they advance in school and they get to 3rd grade and 4th grade, it's easier to move on from there. I also think that another major issue is the referendum. There's so many great benefits in the referendum that we need to ensure that it gets done in a timely manner so that we can enjoy those changes.
Thank you. We'll move on now to the next question. We actually had a question that sort of ties into what Michael just brought up, and Lisa will have this one first. Do you plan to address the issue of teaching our students the keyboarding skills they need in order to be successful on the park exams?
It's funny that I get asked that question because I have been saying that our kids need to learn how to type from 16 years ago when my oldest, who's now 22, started kindergarten. We have always had some sort of computers in the classroom. Over the years, we've had more and more. And I believe in the middle school now, as part of their technology curriculum, they are learning the home row and how to type. But I would definitely, it's something near and dear to my heart. I actually have a SpongeBob Learn How to Type CD that I could donate back to the school.
Thank you. Joanna?
Absolutely, I believe now at the middle school and even in the elementary school levels, the kids are now going into lab more often to become familiar with the keyboard, to become familiar with how the computer functions. And when you hit a certain key, this is what happens. So I believe that the district now is addressing that, and moving forward, I believe that we would continue with that.
Thank you. Judy?
Would you read that full question again?
Sure, of course. Let's see. Do you plan to address the issue of teaching our students the keyboarding skills they need in order to be successful on the park?
Well, while it is an issue, I was doing some research the other day about the park initiatives and the typing and using of the tablet or the computers that we're going to buy for Chromebooks, et cetera, and then in the middle of the article, it's explaining how they're now thinking that maybe in 3 years we're going to be having different options to not taking these park tests. So my feeling is, why are we doing all of this if we're still not sure? Why would we teach these kids? I think they should learn how to keyboard anyway, but not to learn to keyboard for park. I think it should be a part of their curriculum. They need to learn how to do it.
Okay. Michael?
Yes, obviously that's a big point for me, as I said in the previous answer. Yes, I feel like they should start to learn that in 2nd grade because you start taking the park in 3rd grade. So when you're taking a test, the children are nervous enough as it is. you want to make sure they have every tool available to them to take the test. And one of those tools is knowing how to type. So yes, it's definitely important to me.
Thank you. Dominic?
Okay, that was actually addressed when I had the back-to-school night with my son, who, unfortunately for him and the kids in third grade, it's a little bit too late for them, and they're behind the eight ball here, but it was stated that it was going to be addressed for the younger kids moving forward. So at that point, I have all the confidence in the world in the administration and the teachers.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to the next question. Joanna will have this one first. What is your position on making sure that the lower field is completed by August of 2015?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
What is your position on making sure that the lower field is completed by August of 2015?
My position is that I'm going to work very hard to try and get that completed because it's important. I mean, there was a referendum that passed overwhelmingly, and people in Verona who voted for that want to see it completed. I believe it's important not just to that effect, but to the school community, for kids to be able to move forward with school activities, for the band to be able to have their practices, and for us to be able to just have it function. If we delay anything, then it costs us more and more money. So I will work avidly to make sure that that is completed by 2015.
Thank you. Judy?
Well, I think it would be a nice idea to have the objective of having it done by August 15th, did you say?
2015.
By 2015, but if we don't have it completed by then, I don't think that the people need to go overreact, as I see people are overreacting with regards to what's going on with the town. Eventually, maybe it will be September of 2015. The field is going to get done. I don't think anyone in this town is going to stop that field from getting done, and I think everyone in this town wants the field to get done. But I don't believe that we should be putting undue pressure on the town council or the mayor or anybody else to stress how much we want it, because sometimes it just has a way of backfiring against us. The more we push, the harder they may push back.
Thank you. Michael?
Yes, I would certainly work to make sure it's done by 2015. It was voted through by overwhelming support. The majority of the people want it. It's a done deal. It should not be held up at this point. It is there to benefit the children, the students, the parents. It needs to get done. So yeah, I'm behind getting that field done by August of 2015.
Thank you. Dominic?
I've had discussions with members of the council, the mayor and council, and they've assured me that they're going to be fully cooperative in helping us get this done. And it's actually a priority that, to me, that everything in this referendum gets done in a timely fashion. Joanna mentioned it, that delays equal cost overruns, and that is just the way that all construction projects are. So everyone here ought to be deeply concerned about getting it done in a timely fashion.
Thank you. I want to remind more people have arrived, and the audience is submitting questions that they would like to hear the candidates answer. I think that there are cards out there, so if you have some, just move them forward to me and we'll be happy to ask them. Next question, we begin with
Did you get it?
Judy.
Lisa didn't get a chance on that
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry, Lisa, we jumped right over you. Okay,
I'll make
thank
it
you.
short and sweet. I don't think I could add much to what everybody said. I was at the council meeting the other night, and it's my understanding that there's going to be a planning board meeting on November 15th. I do believe it's moving the way it should move. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Now Judy will have this question first, okay? What makes you stand out among other candidates? What attributes, talents, and abilities will you bring to the board?
Well, I don't know that I would say I stand out among the other candidates. I think that they pretty well stand out on their own too. My experience, I would have to say, in the town of Verona, in the school district, and working as an educator first, and then now working in school business administration, I think that would be my main attribute that I could contribute to the school board.
Thank you, Judy. Michael?
Yeah, as far as standing out, everybody up here, I think, has great intentions and What was the first part of the question? I'm sorry.
What makes you stand out among other candidates? What attributes, talents, and abilities will you bring to the board?
Yeah, I have 2 children in the district now and a third coming in, like I said. I'll be vested in the school district at least till 2028 and beyond. I plan on living in this town for a long time. As far as standing out, yeah, like I said, I'm not really sure what makes me stand out other than the fact that I'm passionate about education, and I always have been, and I'll work hard for the students.
Thank you. Dominic?
Hi, thank you. I'm going to reiterate what Michael and Judy said. I don't stand out specifically better than I think we all offer something with individual talents and individual skills. But as for myself, in this time and the need for project management and proper oversight, someone who can deal with engineers, architects, that I do on a daily basis, I think that's what I offer. And as I said, I'm not better than anybody here. That's just the specific talent that I have and experience that I have in my job that I do every day.
Thank you. Lisa?
I think what makes me unique and what talent I can bring to the table is in running my own business, I have to network. I am out there meeting people every day and connecting dots and introducing people to move projects and situations along. So I think I could bring some of that skill to the town and the Board of Ed on networking and meeting the right people and helping facilitate things along. And I also think I bring the unique perspective that I was a parent, I did K to 12 3 times, and now I'm in the boat with the taxpayer without a student in the district paying 3 college tuitions, and I understand both sides of that coin clearly.
Thank you. Joanna?
Well, again, I feel the same way. I don't think that I'm any better or stand above anybody else here. I believe that we all are here for a reason. We all have a passion. We all have a want and a desire to serve our community. I think the talent that I have, and I think what really puts me where I am right now is my passion. I have a sincere passion to serve our community and to serve our students. In my previous life, I was in advertising and PR, and I have a great deal of experience in strategic planning, and that's a talent that I can bring to put together a strategic plan for the board, for our district, and help our district move forward.
Thank you. Next question, we're back to Michael again. What areas do you see that need cost-cutting or consolidation? How will you work to keep expenses down?
Well, to keep expenses down, I think you have to go through the budget, and everything that we're spending money on needs to be evaluated. Is there a benefit to that cost? Is there a benefit to the student, to the teacher, or to the taxpayers? If the answer is no, then maybe we don't need to spend the money there. We need to carefully analyze all of those items. Yeah, that's...
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Dominic?
Yeah, with not knowing and seeing the budget, I really couldn't say anything specific that I would just off the top of my head. I don't think that would be fair and truthful to say. But looking at any budget, the budget that I run, if you do your due diligence and you go out and you get costs and you make sure you go through your quote process and everything you purchase and bid everything out and you have good specs when you do bid things out, the costs will come in and they'll just be reduced by you doing your homework.
Thank you. Lisa?
I agree 100% with Dominic, and I will fall back again. The business that I own and run is an outsourced procurement business. So I look at organizations' budgets. I go line by line and see where costs can be reduced. And I think that it's possible with school districts, absolutely. And I would definitely focus on that.
Thank you. Joanna?
I reiterate that. I mean, it's about, more to Michael's point exactly, is like you have to take a look at the budget and you have to look at what we're spending and where we're spending and assess the need. We live in a district, unfortunately, that has very finite funding. and our budgets are very tight, and we have budget constraints. So to cut here or to cut there, and just to readily say that you would cut here or cut there, wouldn't be fair. You would have to go to every budget line and to assess and make sure that, again, we're being responsible and thoughtful with every dollar that we have and every dollar that we spend.
Thank you. Judy?
I would have to think and say that our Board of Education has pretty well taken our budget as far down as to bare bones as they can get over the years in trying to make this district be able to self-sustain itself through our tax dollars. I have to think, and I know it's not a popular decision to say, that many other school districts are changing the way they handle the health benefits of their teaching employees. They're cutting back on family benefits. They're making them pay more if they want a family benefit. They're bringing news teachers in with only single coverage. And I think we're going to wind up having to work on salaries and benefits, and that's the way we're going to have to fund it. Because I don't think we can cut anything more from the educational and academic programs that we have here. I don't see it.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move on to the next question. Dominic, we'll have this one first. Do you support Common Core or oppose it?
Having to figure out some of my children's homework and see how you have to go around the block and down the street and around the corner to get to the same answer it took me about 30 seconds to do. I understand it creates abstract thinking. I'm really not an expert in education, and there may be a long-term educational value for our children, so I'm going to leave that up to the educators and the administrators and the superintendent and to determine that. I don't know enough about it. I know my kids are getting the best education in this district, so whatever the professionals tell me works, I'm going to stick with that. I'm not an educator.
Thank you. Lisa?
Very tactful answer. I think it's too new, honestly, to have an opinion if I'm for or against it. I understand the theory behind it, and a lot of times things are fabulous in theory. Practical application, I think, is still something that's going to be seen. The way I understand it, for teachers and educators to bring children to a specific point in time at a certain age group or class level, grade level, I think sounds reasonable. And I think it's supposed to give the teachers a little more autonomy on how they get to that goal. So in theory, I think it sounds great. And when we see it play out, then I think I'll have a stronger opinion if I'm for or against it.
Thank you. Joanna?
Same. I actually had this conversation the other day with somebody who asked me the same question. Are you for or against Common Core? Again, in theory, Common Core is great. It's an actual fabulous theory to have every kid learn at the same thing, same level, and level the playing field. The way I think what's happened is the way that it was implemented, the way that it was rolled out, is what makes it challenging. Because instead of transitioning teachers and students, it was a drop-in. It was, this is what we're going to do, and now run with it. There was no training. There was no slow implementation. So do I agree with it? Do I not agree with it? Whether I agree with it or not, this is the new way that my kids are learning. I don't necessarily have an opinion other than the fact that we need to do what we can do to give support to our teachers and to help move our students in the right direction, to give them the tools.
Thank you. Judy?
Well, since it doesn't directly have an effect on me, I do feel that I should support it. I've read much about it. The thing that I don't support that came along with the Common Core is the PARCC testing. I don't feel that is something that districts can afford or could afford, and cause a lot of cost to them to get into the infrastructure changes of technology and to purchase the laptops or computers or whatever that we are going to need for these kids to take the test. The Common Core I could agree with. I think it may help. PARCC testing is the one that I am not in agreement with.
Okay. Thank you. Michael?
Yeah, I have to agree with most of what's already been said. I agree with the idea of the Common Core. It's still fairly new. I know there's a lot of controversy over it. I like the idea that it gives you guidelines that the students should meet at the end of every grade level. And it's all through the state. So if you move to another district, another town, another city, those teachers in that classroom should be teaching the same thing that you just left. So I agree with the idea of it, but it is still fairly new.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next question. Lisa, we'll have this one first. Could you comment on the number of administrators we currently have working in the district? Too many, not enough, just right?
Back in the day, when I first came to Verona, we had shared principals in the elementary school, and there were no curriculum coordinators. And I've seen that, and it didn't exactly work. So with the amount of administrators, I've seen the curriculum become aligned. I've seen the continuity and consistency there. So not having every single administrator and what their job description fully entails, I think they were definitely needed, and there might be a way to minimize that or do that a little bit differently, but I certainly have seen it before, and it's better with the administration the way it is.
Okay, thank you. Joanna?
I have to reiterate Lisa's point as well. And I do think that the number of administrators that we have right now, sometimes it almost seems like there's not enough because of the fact that, with the new mandates that came down from Trenton, it's requiring more and more observations. It's requiring more and more of the school administrators and our curriculum supervisors and our curriculum director to be out and be out doing observations rather than actually either creating curriculum, directing curriculum, whatever it is that they need to do. But I do know, in my belief right now is that we need them to help support our teachers.
Thank you. Judy?
Well, as Joanna said, the increase in the mandates from the state coming down, the responsibilities and the increase of the principals themselves, they could never handle the workload as well as taking care of the kids in the school without the second layer that they're having now in administration of having supervisors to help them. And I think in the school district, I don't even think we have enough. Seriously, I don't think we have enough help.
Thank you. Michael?
Yeah, again, I agree. I don't think we have too many. We have the curriculum supervisors are important, especially with the Common Core. They make sure that the same things are being taught throughout all the different grades in the school district. And with all the increased observations, the SGOs, the curriculum supervisors are needed more and more. So far, it seems to be working. I think we're all pretty happy with the results that the school district is giving us, so I wouldn't be so quick to change anything.
Okay, thank you. Dominic?
And I don't really know how many people are aware of it, but our administration to student ratio is not really that high. I don't know where that question comes from. And as far as everyone has said, the responsibility to reporting to the state and observation is taking up so much more time. And the job duties of all the layers of administration really don't overlap that much. They really have their specific job duties. They do their jobs, and anyone looking at our testing and our scores and where we are as a district academically, you cannot argue with the results, and that's all I'm really concerned with.
Thank you. Lisa, you had it first, right?
I had it first.
Okay, got it. Oh, good. We have some more questions coming up. Thank you very much. The next question then we'll begin with Joanna. What experience do you have with complicated budgets?
I have a great deal of experience with complicated budgets. Again, in my previous life, I used to be an account executive in an advertising agency, and I handled multi-million-dollar budgets for my clients. Those budgets went everywhere from a national level to a local level, and trying to decide how to spend that money and spend the client's money wisely and make it effective and have it earn for the client. So I am very familiar with working with complex budgets.
Okay, thank you. Judy?
My experience is basically working with school budgets. I started out learning about it here in 2007, and it's part of my life is working out school budgets right now.
Thank you. Michael?
In my day job, I work with budgets a lot. My clients come in and I work with them for a few days, a week, sometimes a month or longer. And they have a budget of what they can spend. So I always have to make sure, looking short-term and long-term, that we're staying within their budget. And as we're working, things always pop up. There's more things that need to be expensed, paid for. So you always have to keep that budget in mind because obviously you can't go over that number. So yeah, budget is very important.
Thank you. Dominic?
I'm directly responsible for putting together my budget as the superintendent of water and sewer in Nutley. It is over $4 million. We have line items, sub-accounts, everything, every dollar that's put into those accounts and every dollar that's spent through purchasing and requisitions and purchase orders goes right over my desk. So I'm uniquely qualified in budgeting.
Thank you. Lisa?
And to reiterate, my business, I look at budgets all the time and help go category by category. So I do have experience with budgets, but I have to say, I don't know, in the light of levity, I was a stay-at-home parent for 14 years and running a household of 3 children and 2 adults. That was the most difficult budget, and I was able to do it. So that being said, I think I'm okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Judy will have the next question first. Do you think Verona High School students should be encouraged to take courses in what can be broadly called industrial or technical arts, which today would include computer programming? If so, would you support curriculum changes that allow the introduction or expansion of such courses?
Actually, I do think that they should be encouraged to take these kind of courses. Unfortunately, I believe that they have them and they offer them in the vocational school in our county, but they're not to the degree or level that these kids really need. And it would be a great idea to have our school district increase the curriculum as it relates to that.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
Yes, absolutely. I'm in full support of that. I believe exposing the kids to different areas of concentration, different areas of study, gives them exposure to things that maybe they weren't aware of before. It could change their career path. It could give them a new interest. I am extremely for that. It also gives them a new way of being creative. It gets them out from behind the desk. It gets them thinking in a different way. So yeah, I feel it's very important.
Thank you. Dominic?
Any expansion of curriculum that would better prepare our children in the computer sciences and programming and stuff, of course, that's something great. They're going to need it. They're going to use it in their future lives. But I don't know at the expense of what other program we would have to cut. Unfortunately, in a perfect world, we can do it. We have the classroom, we have the finances, but I don't know if we do in this district.
Okay, thank you. Lisa?
I think that it's a great idea. A lot of kids are hands-on learners, and just in our district, we've recently redone the greenhouse and brought in AP environmental science. So kids can combine higher level courses with hands-on experience, and we have the vocational program, which I think should be offered and opens up a lot more readily to the whole student body. I don't think there's any reason why you couldn't take an AP English class but be at the county vocational school because you're interested in horticulture. I definitely think expansion on that and different ways to do that, of getting out of our own building and using the tools that are available in other districts and our county around us to offer that to our students.
Thank you. Joanna?
Absolutely, I would encourage that, and I would absolutely support it as long as we have funding available, and that is the key right there, is funding. I believe that if we can offer it, it would make absolute sense to do it. You expose kids to different areas of interest. I believe right now at the high school they've actually started implementing that with, the wood shop is actually now, instead of just working with wood and working with hands and designing, they're actually doing it by computer. So now they're learning, engineering by design on the computer and actually learning and designing, like the catapults or whatever that they're doing, understanding their design, not just designing it, understanding, why this functions this way, why this functions better that way. So I would absolutely support a change in curriculum as long as we were able to sustain it with funding.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to Michael for the next question. If you agree that Verona's TV coverage of Board of Education meetings is significantly superior from both technical and scheduling perspectives, would you make it a priority to boost the quality of the production and additionally to carry the board meetings live?
Absolutely, I would like to boost the production qualities. A lot of times you can't hear what people are saying. You can certainly hear the doors squeaking all the time, though. I would definitely position the camera in a different way, maybe even have 2 cameras. It doesn't have to be a big production. But yes, I would definitely upgrade that for sure.
Okay, Dominic?
Yeah, sure. There's always room for improvement. Michael made a joke out of the door, but definitely every time someone goes in and out to use the restroom during the meeting, we hear it. And as far as streaming live, if that's what the community wanted, of course I'd be for it. That's what we're here for. We're here for the community.
Thank you. Lisa?
In the interest of time, I agree with what they said.
Okay. Joanna?
Ditto.
Okay. Well, over to Judy.
Add to that.
Oh, absolutely. I think
Okay.
we need to really upgrade our video capabilities in the district. And just as an aside, the door's been squeaking for at least 7 years.
I got a can of oil at home. I'm going to bring it next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Again, I'll remind those voters who are here that there are cards. If you have some questions you would like to have the candidates answer, please fill them out, move them forward to me, and we'll get them answered. Next question. We'll start with Dominic.
Yes, dear.
If Verona receives $10 million from a mystery donor, how would you spend it on the school system and why?
Okay, I gave a lot of thought to this, and I'm very fiscally conservative. That's the way I run my home budget. That's just how I am. That's how I'm wired. The first thought that came to my mind was to pay off debt, to have property tax relief. That's what I would do in my home. If I came into a windfall at home, I'd pay something off and reduce my expenses. And debt relief is the thing that would give the most tax relief to the residents, and that's ultimately what I would do with it.
Thank you. Lisa?
That would be so much fun. I definitely am fiscally conservative, as Dominic said, but this fantasy donor who's giving me $10 million, like I said earlier, I believe that our kids need to expand globally. When they go to colleges and compete for jobs with outsourcing, they are not competing just within Verona, within the state of New Jersey or the country. They're competing on an international playing field. So to take Model UN or the DECA, where you're teaching kids business skills but getting them out to practice those skills, I would love to have a nice budget for teachers to expand on those extracurriculars which bring experiential learning to our kids.
Thank you. Joanna?
I would give myself a raise. Just kidding. Oh, wait, it's not a paid position? Okay. No, actually, $10 million is great. But what I would do with that first, before spending anything, is to assess the needs of the district. There's so many things that the referendum is covering, and that's absolutely wonderful. And there's some things that we're probably missing because of the fact that we had to pull back, or the district had to pull back because they didn't want to hit the taxpayer. And just because we have it doesn't mean we have to spend it all. We'd save for a rainy day. But also to Dominic's point, debt relief. I mean, here we are. We've got a referendum that we're going to pay, that we have, and it's on the taxpayer. And if we can provide some kind of tax relief to the taxpayer with a portion of that, and then put the rest in a reservoir, in a reserve for later projects, for future improvements, and maybe extracurricular activities, then that's how I would use the $10 million.
Thank you. Judy?
Well, I would have to say that if we were given $10 million and it wasn't allocated as to what they wanted us to use it for, I would take a good long look at the long-term facilities plan, because I believe that the structures of these buildings and facilities that we have need a lot of upgrades that we are not covering with this referendum. And in order for us to continue to be able to have education every single day for these kids as it expands, we need to upgrade a lot more in this school district. So I think I would look at taking a large portion of that 10 million, putting it into any health or safety or long-range facility needs that we can afford, and maybe use 20% of it for our educational needs. But
Okay.
without that, we can't, someday we may not even be able to use a school if we don't start fixing some of the older buildings
Okay.
in our district.
Thank you. Michael?
If the district suddenly got $10 million, I would put some of that money back into the classroom. For example, at FM Brown, the teachers are using smart boards, FM systems, and they are wonderful, effective tools for teaching. In the middle school, they're still using chalkboards, tube televisions, and no FM systems. I feel that that needs to be brought up to date. I would like to see all schools in Verona using the same tools to teach our children, so that as they transition through the district, it will be seamless. I'd also use some of that money for professional development. As the teaching profession is always advancing, we need to make sure that our teachers are up to date with those advancements. And I feel that there would still be money left over, so I would want to hear from teachers, faculty, to see how to spend the rest of that money.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, we'll have this next question first. What do you think is expected of you as a board member?
I think what's expected of a board member is to keep lines of communication open with the taxpayers and the parents. We're here to serve the district. And I also think, as much as we might feel inclined to have say in how schools are run, I think we're really here to make sure that the schools are run well, review policy, and govern, and make sure that things are done the way that they're supposed to do.
Thank you. Joanna?
Same thing. I believe that as a board member, it would be expected of me to listen and act, to listen to parents, teachers, to listen to the community, to see what the needs are, and to act upon those requests. Within reason, if it's within the purview of the board, to act and actually, create a partnership to keep the lines of communication open. I've gone around, I've talked to people, and for me it's very important. It's very important. If you don't listen to what people are saying, then you'll never know what it is that you need to do, or what you should be doing, or what goals you need to be meeting, and assessing those goals every single time that a community member or a parent or a teacher comes to you. So that's, for me, it's the most important thing, is keeping an open line of communication as a board member, not just to the parents in the school, but to the community at large.
Thank you very much. Judy?
Would you repeat the question?
Yes. What do you think is expected of you as a board member?
Well, since it doesn't say as expected of you as a board member from the public or from your own peers on your board, I'm going to go with what is expected from you on the Board of Education and how you should conduct yourself. I think you need to realize that you're not an individual. You can't act as an individual. You have to learn to make decisions as a group, respect everyone on that group. You also need to take the initiative to study up when you're sent home your packet, become familiar with what you're going to be on television discussing. The worst thing you can do is be sitting here saying, oh, I don't know what you're talking about because you didn't read it over the weekend. I think you need to take the time to educate yourself, and most importantly, be able to get along with the rest of the members on the board and work towards education for the children.
Thank you. Michael?
Yes, being on the board, you need to use facts and data to formulate your opinions. You need to value transparency. You definitely need to have a good line of communication with parents, with teachers, with the community. You have to be able to listen to everybody's ideas and take those into consideration when you're making decisions on the board. At the end of the day, everybody's working for the same goal, which is to make education in Verona as good as it can be.
Thank you. Dominic?
What's expected of us as board members is clearly defined. Our job is to make policy that works for the district, and then to make sure that that policy is implemented properly, work cooperatively with the superintendent, give him what he needs to do his job, and then, based on the needs of the school, prepare the proper budget, and then just be transparent and open to the public. They're the voters, they put us here, and that's our job.
Thank you. Joanna will have the next question first. What framework would you put in place to assure the taxpayer that our buildings and grounds will be maintained so that not as many repairs and improvements would be needed at once?
Again, it would be looking at assessing the needs and prioritizing those needs. It's about creating long-term goals and setting goals for long-term projects. This referendum is going to address a lot of the building's needs. It's not going to address everything, but it's going to address a majority of them. And there is a facilities plan, there is a district facilities plan, there's a long-term district facilities plan, and we need to look at that and set goals for each of those projects that the board would like to achieve and accomplish within the budget constraints that we have.
Thank you. Judy?
Well, if there isn't already, which I believe there is, a preventative maintenance plan within the district that's been assembled and put together by the director of facilities, I would think that that's something we need to pay attention to, is that facilities plan, preventative plan, so that we know in advance, like you do in your home. You know you need to clean your gutters this week, you clean your gutters. Next week, you need to go out and do the one. You have a list of things that you need to do in a school district. You need to clean the furnace, you need to go clean the boilers. You have to get back to doing preventative maintenance, and I think for a long time we got away from it, and it had a lot of effect on accumulated dollars we spent later on all at once because of things that were not done properly. If we had the plan, I think we would have made out better financially in this district.
Thank you. Michael?
Yeah, I think these are great answers. We certainly need to have the maintenance fund and a long-term maintenance fund. Anything that comes up, like a busted pipe or a broken window or something, can be funded through the maintenance fund. The long-term fund can be used for other things like infrastructure or repair, replacing a track or something like that. So we need to make sure that those accounts are well funded. Also, the director of facilities should be aware to make sure that our buildings are up to code. And if there's a problem, should have an open line of communication with the board so that these issues can be addressed in a timely manner.
Thank you. Dominic?
Oh, yeah, sure. What we do need in the district is we need a capital improvement fund put into the budget on a yearly basis. And then with the help of Mr. McDivitt, the principals and the custodians, that we need to prioritize what jobs need to be done. Like I said, we can put a capital improvement plan in the yearly budget instead of, in my home, I don't do the roof, the windows, and the hardwood floors in 1 year. I do it on a priority basis, my needs, and we need to do that in the school.
Thank you. Lisa?
Agreed. I think having the facilities management, a facilitator of that, Mr. McDivitt, it was part of the current strategic plan. It's one of the action items is maintaining a long-term financial plan. So I'm confident that that's already begun, and having a line item in our regular operating budget for long-term maintenance, the current board has also started to do that. So little by little, if that could get built up over time, and having a facilities management overseeing all 6 of our buildings and looking after, like everybody else said, to have that plan and do things on a rotating basis to make sure they get done timely.
Thank you. Judy, this question will be for you first. In your view, what has the district done well over the last 5 years? What has it done poorly that you would change?
I think that they've done a lot of work on the strategic plan and become very successful in getting that together. I think another major thing that they've done in the past 5 years is to get together, figure out what they wanted to do with the school referendum, put it all out there and get it passed. I think that was a plus. What was the second part of the question? What do I think they didn't do right?
Yes, that's right. Right and wrong, yeah, and not so well.
The only thing that I am concerned about, I can think right now of, is the fact about this referendum that went through. I realize that a lot of people in our town do not have access to email, do not read emails, do not go on the internet, cannot see what was going on in this district and aren't aware of it. people that have kids in the school knew what was going on with the referendum. I still have neighbors who didn't even know that this went on. And I think that's one of the things they didn't do right this year, was at least, as we did back in 2005, to send out a mailer to tell the people what was going on with the referendum.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
I think the district has done a lot of good over the last 5 years. For example, the number of students who enrolled in AP classes has doubled since 2009, increasing from 82 to 174. With over 400 AP exams taken, the overall average score has increased to 3.05, which is high enough to earn college and university credits. These achievements are something that everybody should be proud of. Where I think improvements can be made, I'm going to go back to the park testing again. We're not teaching our kids how to type at a young enough grade level. I think that's something that can be improved. The park test has been known about for a few years now, so I feel like we're sort of behind the curve on this one. So I would be a little bit more proactive.
Thank you. Dominic?
I think Michael Perry looked at my notes when I was going to talk about the AP courses. So I think if anyone who was here for that PowerPoint by the curriculum director and saw what was done as far as the AP and honors and the college credits that these kids are now getting, it was unbelievable. I think it's on the website. I think everyone here should go and actually look at that PowerPoint. And what we haven't done right, it's very apparent what we haven't done right, and it has to do with our facilities. We haven't kept up with them. Most of the referendum is because we let everything go. And at this point, we're correcting it. We're doing the right thing moving forward. But that is the most glaring thing. Our facilities and how they're deteriorating is the worst thing that's happened in the district.
Okay, thank you. Lisa?
I think something that we do right is our music program, hands down. From the elementary school up to the high school, it's a standout. For a small district, for those music instructors to have almost 300 kids in multiple bands marching together as pullouts from their regular academic day. So I think that's something really unique to our district because we are so small, and it's amazing. What I don't think we do so well, and I think Judy began to touch upon it, is the communication. I think the communication between the board and the public, the communication between the administration and the faculty, I think it needs to be really more open and transparent. I think our teachers need to be heard because they have opinions too without feeling uncomfortable that they're talking to the boss and they might not like what they hear. So I just think communication in general is critical.
Thank you. Joanna?
Over the past 5 years, I believe that the district has done a phenomenal job with the curriculum, with rewriting the curriculum and instituting STEM programs, K through 12. I mean, when my children were in elementary school and they started doing understanding by design or engineering by design, and they're learning about water recycling and renewable uses for water, I thought that was amazing. And when I was in high school, that would never have been offered in my high school. I would have to wait till college to get there. We've also, increased the AP enrollment. The number of scholars, of AP scholars, is tremendous. We have 65 AP scholars this year from 2009. We increased that to 65. I think that's pretty spectacular. And again, in terms of what I think we can improve on, there's always room for improvement, no matter how wonderful your districts are performing, how wonderful they are. It's communication, it's transparency, it's maintaining an open line of communication amongst all parties involved in the educational process.
Thank you very much. Next question will begin with Michael. If a parent comes to you regarding a maintenance issue or a situation involving a teacher, how do you see your role as a board member in resolving this issue?
I think it's pretty cut and dry. As a board member, I would tell that parent that they need to follow the chain of command. Either go to a teacher or the principal or a guidance counselor or the superintendent. As a board member, I don't think it's your position to interfere with that chain of command. So I would just tell the parent that they need to go through the proper chain of command.
Thank you. Dominic?
Yeah, I think it's cut and dried also, like Michael said. I would respectfully listen, but I would refer them to the superintendent, and he, in fact, could forward them to whatever, if it was a grammar school principal and it was an issue in Lanning or Forest or any other, I think that's something that he should handle.
Thank you. Lisa?
Agreed, there's a certain protocol and chain of command that would need to be followed, and as Dominic said, you listen respectfully, and I would hope to be able to give that parent guidance on who the correct person to talk to would be, and take it from there once it gets to the correct person. And if it has something to do with maintenance or policy, hopefully during our board meetings and our work sessions, we would be able to look at whatever that complaint was and be able to modify and tweak and come out with a happy answer for everybody.
Thank you. Joanna?
Agreed on all points. I mean, there is a chain of command, there's protocol, and again, you know, you listen to the parent, you listen to what they have to say, point them in the right direction, but encourage them to follow the proper protocol.
Thank you. Judy?
Basically, to give respect to the individual, listen to what they have to say, and once again, refer through the chain of command, which is normally going to be the superintendent.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to remind everyone we're nearing the end of the portion where we can have more questions. So if you have a question that you want to have asked, you need to get it up to me as soon as you can. Dominic, next question.
Sure.
Describe your view of the roles of the school board and the superintendent. What is the ideal relationship between the two?
Well, we have to work cooperatively, and we have to give him every tool that he needs to succeed, because it's a trickle-down effect. If we have a good relationship and we give him what he needs, he's going to give the principals what they need, and the administrators and the curriculum supervisors and the teachers. So we just have to work cooperatively and not competitively with him. We need to do our job, and we know he'll do his job.
Lisa?
Collaboration is one of our characteristics, and it's on our banners coming up Sampson Drive. So I think as a board, the most important job they have is selecting and hiring a great superintendent. And once that's done, we're here again to give guidance and work on policy and let the superintendent do his job. So we need to collaborate, communicate, and at the end, let him lead.
Joanna?
I agree. It's teamwork. It's working in conjunction. It's working together. It's working to provide the guidance for the superintendent to do what he needs to do, which is to run the district and make sure that, you know, he is running the district in accordance with the goals that are set by the district by the Board of Ed. It's just. Again, it's communication is what it boils down to. It's teamwork and communication.
Thank you. Judy?
I think it's important to develop a good working relationship with the superintendent. And of course, there are going to be differences along the line, but you need to learn to rise above them. Don't hold grudges, don't carry it on, and move on with it. I think it's too many times that people have said, you know, well, they hold a grudge against so-and-so. And I don't think there's any room for that today in this society. We need to get a superintendent that we can keep in our school district here for a while, because it's been too long since we had one for even 5 years. And I think we need to really work hard to work at a great relationship with the superintendent.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
Yeah, I'm going to agree pretty much with everything that was said here. The board and the superintendent should work hand in hand. They should establish goals for the schools and develop policies that guide the administration. The superintendent then makes sure that the schools are meeting those goals. I believe that they should work hand in hand to make sure that the schools are being the best that they can be. The superintendent should also make the board aware of any recommendations that he has to change curriculum or any events that are coming up in the schools. So it's definitely a collaboration between the two.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Lisa now for the next question. What is your position on extending kindergarten to a full-day program?
Very appropriate, I get that question. Again, back in 1998, my kids, it was AM, PM kindergarten, so it was barely 2 hours. And I have to say, when they extended it to a 4-hour day, I cried. I loved having kids home, and the rest of your life, you are confined by hours and restraints. There's only so much a 5-year-old could absorb. And I do believe Verona, with a 4-hour day, that's a 3/4 day. It's not even a half a day. Out of our 6 hours, it's a 3/4 day that the kids do great. And I think it's sufficient the way it is. I think it's excellent the way it is. It gives them a mix of both worlds.
Okay, thank you. Joanna?
I was all, when we moved to Verona, we were completely unaware of the fact that it was half-day kindergarten. I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? But I actually loved the fact that my children were able to be in school and get and learn and be a part of a group of kids where they could socialize, but also to be able to come back and spend time and be at home, and us to be able to experience life outside of the classroom. Again, once they hit first grade, it's hit the ground running, and there's no looking back. So it's very little time to be able to enjoy them, because once they start moving forward in the upper grades, you won't get that time back. So I appreciated the half-day kindergarten. So that's my answer.
Okay, thank you. Judy?
Can you please read the question?
Of course. What is your position on extending kindergarten to a full-day program?
Oh, I think it would be a wonderful thing if it was possible to do and keep within the financial constraints of the budget, but I don't know how we're going to be able to fund that unless somebody comes up with some type of sponsorship that gives this district money to do it, because we do need it, many people want it, but we just don't have the way to fund it. I don't see it's going to happen too soon, unfortunately.
Michael?
Yeah, I understand the controversy behind it, and it's been up for a vote before. It was voted down, and it needs to be voted in order for it to happen. But my position is, yes, I am for full-day kindergarten. The Common Core has goals that you have to meet at the end of every grade level, kindergarten included. So I feel that more education that our children can have, the better off they'll be in the upcoming years. Kindergarten is not like what it used to be when I went. It's not just, coloring or taking a nap or having snack time. They're actually learning things that are important, and I am for full-day kindergarten.
Thank you. Dominic?
As a parent, I understand both sides of the argument. There's so many parents. Verona is a changing community. You have so many families with two parents working, and on that level, there is a need for full-day kindergarten. But until someone can show me a definitive study where our children are lagging behind because of the lack of a full-day kindergarten, then I think financially it's something we can't afford. And if I get that report and someone can show me that our kids will be exponentially advantaged from having it, then I'd say we're fine the way we are.
Okay, thank you. This will be the final question. Joanna gets the final question. What would you do if you were aware of inequity and non-accountability in the guidance department?
I would speak with the superintendent. I mean, it's the job of the board to create policy and to govern, and the job of guidance falls under the purview of the superintendent. And if there was something to look at, to investigate, then it's, you would have to follow that proper chain. You'd have to that proper chain of communication. If there's something to act upon, then then that's when you do. But again, it's a matter of following the proper chain of command. It's following the superintendent, who has the purview primarily, and then would bring that to the board.
Thank you. Judy?
As a board member, I don't think that anyone could act upon that except for bringing it to the attention of the superintendent, because it's a pretty strong accusation of inequity in the guidance department.
Thank you. Michael?
Yeah, I have to agree. Again, it's about the chain of command. you can direct the parent on where to go, but as far as us taking a role in the issue that they may have, I don't feel like there's much we can do about that. No, again, it's a chain of command.
Thank you. Dominic?
Yeah, well, of course it does have to go through the superintendent, but our job as the policymakers and ensuring that the policy is implemented right, inequities in the guidance department, it would have to be investigated, and if it was substantiated, we as a board would have to, as part of our job, make sure that everything, the entire investigation and whatever resolution was done in the correct manner. We would have to oversee that. It wouldn't be done by us, but we'd have to make sure that it was done. The superintendent answers to us.
Okay. Thank you. Lisa?
Yeah, I can't really add much to what the others said. I do think some kind of inequity or non-accountability and guidance would have to go through that chain of command. And it's a hard question to answer because guidance department, I don't exactly understand what might an inequity be, or it's hard to come up with an example. So, but guidance departments are so critical to the children at every level, and the middle school guidance department functions much differently than the high school guidance department. So I would really be hard pressed to give an answer to that aside from going through the chain of command, not knowing a specific example.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now we're on to the final part of this evening's forum, and that's 2-minute closing statement from each of the candidates. We'll begin with Joanna.
Yay me. As I said, I am a mother of 2 children in the school system, and I have a vested interest in seeing our schools thrive and seeing our children succeed. It's very important to me as a parent, but also as a taxpayer, that our school district moves forward, that we help our children succeed in a global economy. I have a lot of experience in the school as a parent, as a volunteer, as an avid volunteer. I'm very dedicated, I'm very passionate about what happens, not just that affects my children, but affects all our children, because ultimately, it is going to be them that we're going to look to for guidance and leadership later on down the road. So all I ask is for your support on November 4th. I look forward to serving the community, to serving our children, and to serving on the board.
Thank you. Lisa?
I'm still here. 16 years I've tirelessly volunteered, served on committees, come to board meetings, interact with members of the public every day, all the time in our town, and I love it. It's fun to me. It's energizing to me. It keeps me mindful of what's going on. As homeowners, our biggest investment is our homes, so whether you have children in the district or your children have moved on, the school has to stay strong. It's directly attached to the value of your home. I can be objective. My kids aren't here anymore. I have nothing to lose or nothing to gain. Whatever my experience is, I'm bringing it, and it's up for discussion. I'm sensitive to the taxpayers. Like I said, I have 3 college tuitions. I'm paying our taxes. I'm very financially conservative. My desire, I think anybody who knows me, my conversation always ends up in education. It's a global issue. Everybody on the planet wants an education. People are fighting and dying for it, and it would be really an honor to serve in this capacity. I believe in giving back and service. So on November 4th, remember Lisa Fresky, line 4H. Thank you.
Dominic?
Thank you. With over 25 years of experience in the public sector, and someone who's a superintendent of a water and sewer utility with a budget over $4 million, and while leading a project management team who deals with infrastructure projects that include road, water, sewer, buildings, I believe my unique qualifications and experience would serve the board well at this time, at this vital time in the Verona district. We cannot afford to have mismanagement, lack of oversight, to have delays, cost overruns, any of that litigation, all things that have happened in districts with large referendums over the past few years. I know of quite a few, and I do not want that to happen here. We can ill afford it. It'll put a further tax strain on the taxpayers. It'll adversely affect our children's education, and I don't think anyone here wants that. So I respectfully ask you to vote Dominic Ferry 1H on November 4th.
Thank you. Michael?
Well, thank you all for coming out tonight. I hope you were able to learn a little bit more about me and my vision for our schools. I will work hard to do what's right for our students and our teachers and for us as taxpayers. Having 3 children of my own, I will be experiencing school issues, both good and bad, directly. As a board member, I'll be eager to hear from everyone regarding the progress of our schools and how the board is doing. Being a board member is an important role, and I look forward to serving our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Judy?
First of all, I would like to thank all of you for showing up and coming out for this. And I also would like to thank everyone sitting up here as a candidate that put their name in the hat to run for this, because it has been a long time coming that I think we need new people on this board. I wish everyone on here the best. I hope one of you wins, whether it be me, you, whatever. I am just ecstatic for the fact that we are going to have some new blood on the Board of Education. Thank you. I hope you all come out and vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I would like to say that you, the voters of Verona, are very fortunate. You have 5 candidates running for one position. I know you're going to have a tough decision to make. In my over 20 years of doing this, moderating, I've never seen so many candidates for one position, and I think you're very fortunate. And hopefully you got to know about each one of them tonight, and will help you with your decision. I'd like to thank the organizers of this evening's forum for putting this together. I'd like to thank you, the voters, for coming out tonight. And I'd particularly like to thank the candidates. They've worked very hard up here. You can't appreciate how much work this has been for them tonight. But I think we've learned a lot, and we appreciate that they've all come out. Thank you. And vote on November 4th.